the triple res comp running rampant, and with the Starlord's pick rate at an all-time high, you can definitely say that this character is one of, if not the best duelist in all of Marvel Rivals currently. And I was given the chance to sit down with one of the best Starlord players in the entire game to talk about his complete kit, and that was none other than Lyte, a pro player playing on the team FlyQuest. We're first going to be talking about all of the character's abilities, listing some tips that could be very beneficial to you all, and maybe some insight about being a pro player. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more of this type of content, make sure to hit that like button. It's one of the best ways of letting me know you want to see more. And if you're new here and find yourself enjoying the content and you aren't already subscribed, why not? It's completely free and it greatly helps out the channel. And I'm excited to announce on Saturday, March 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm actually going to be hosting a coaching session over at Gosu Academy. By either clicking the link in the description or clicking the link in the pinned comments, you can get 30 days of free coaching, and you can even hop into my live class on Saturday. It's going to be yet another Vanguard Masterclass, so if you're interested, check it out. If you aren't really familiar with who Lyte is, here's a little bit of an introduction from the man himself.
Hey guys, my name is Lyte. I'm currently a pro player for FlyQuest, and this is a guide to Starlord.
Now, what makes Starlord so interesting to me is that he actually doesn't have any really passive ability, because when you think about it, there's characters like Wolverine who have two passive abilities, one being the more rage, the more damage, and he also has the regenerative ability. But Starlord is one of those few exceptions that doesn't have anything. Getting started, let's talk about Starlord's primary attack, and that's none other than the element guns, dealing a total of 6.5 damage per round, and with a relatively large damage falloff that begins at 10 meters and decreases to 60% at 25 meters. After 2 consecutive shots, the spread increases to 0.15 meters. After 5 consecutive shots, the spread expands to 0.24 meters. That's why sometimes shooting in bursts might be a little bit more beneficial than shooting in full auto. But let's hear what Lyte has to say.
Yeah. So he's definitely a medium to close range hero, and so most of the time, at least in this game, you're not going to be dealing with too much recoil. It's just like the spread of the gun. There is like some weird kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't say it's recoil, but it's kind of like a drag that comes with your crosshair whenever you do your, I like to call it a kickflip, but it's his spin, or like his invulnerability, like dash, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you do that to like the side, and then someone is strafing to the opposite side. So if I kickflip to the right and they strafe to the left, I'm gonna have to drag my crosshair like a really weird way in order to compensate for that movement. So that's like the only thing that I think can make aiming on them pretty tricky. Because you're so mobile, you can always like follow the strafe of the person that you're trying to target. So
now, Starlord's secondary attack is Stellar Shift. You dodge in the direction of movement and swiftly reload. You also have a 0.37 second invincibility duration, so you can kinda use it as an iframe. If you don't know what an iframe means, it's an invincibility frame. Basically, you can use it to dodge things that would probably get you eliminated. Things like Mag Ult, Scarlet Witch Ult, and so on. You get 2 of these charges, and it has a recharge speed of 5 seconds per charge. Now, Lyte likes to call it a kickflip, but it's the same thing as Stellar Shift, just so you don't get confused.
I'm someone who... So Starlord's spin, it actually hits Magneto through his ult. So when Mag is ulting, I will just fly at him and then use the spin to try to bait him to throw the rock at me. And then if he does, I just react with the kickflip and dodge it.
Okay.
If you're really bold, you can fly at him and then use your kickflip to block the rock. I do that in rank sometimes, but that's really, really risky. And if it doesn't work, you could die. Or you could just completely miss and miss position and it doesn't do anything. But it is cool and flashy if you can pull it off.
Now, Starlord's shift ability, or his tactical button, is none other than Rocket Propulsion. You consume energy to gain a movement boost and soar forward. You get a 100% movement boost. The maximum energy that you have is 1800, and as you activate it, you go through 300 of that energy per second. So essentially, you have 6 seconds of flight, and the energy recovery speed is 100 per second. Now, one of Starlord's key abilities is Blaster Barrage. You fire a frenzy of shots, causing damage to enemies within range. It's a spherical spell field with a 3-second duration. It has a 8-meter spherical radius. It does 8 damage per hit and has an 8-second cooldown. This is an ability that lets you build up your ultimate charge rather quickly. Now remember, you can use Rocket Propulsion and Blast Barrage at the same time, making yourself a little bit more agile while using it. Now, if you're wondering where Lyte's input for these 2 abilities are, they were kind of with his right-click ability earlier on in the video, but basically with Blaster Barrage, you go in, press your E, and do your best job to hit as many enemies as possible to build up that ultimate charge as quickly as possible. The more enemies you're hitting, the more charge you're going to be getting, so it's definitely a very strong ability. Now let's talk about Starlord's ultimate ability, Galactic Legend. On activation, you engage in free flight, meaning you can move anywhere in the flight form, and you lock onto enemies in a sight with aimbot essentially. While in the legendary form, your primary attack still does that 6.5 damage. It's just instead of missing some shots, you're landing all of your shots. That's why it seems like it does a ton of damage. And believe it or not, you still have damage fall off in that ultimate form. But instead of that damage fall off beginning at 10 meters, it now begins at 25. The ultimate lasts for 8 seconds, and no, you cannot hit crit shots. Talking about Starlord's ultimate, the legendary, I know some people talk about using it right away when they get it, or sometimes you use it for that big play.
I think it depends on the meta and the comp that you're playing into. If you're playing in triple support mirror, using the Starlord ult off cooldown, like if you're playing Adam, Mantis, Starlord, Luna, or Loki or something like that, in that type of mirror, it's important that you just burn it on cooldown because you build it so fast, and realistically, you're never going to get a big 4-man Starlord ult off. There's just too many defensive cooldowns and too many support ults that will negate it. But if you are playing into let's say that you're playing into any type of rocket comp like Luna rocket or Mantis rocket, or anything where they only have one trank, holding it for after the trank is done is really good because then you can guaranteed at least get 2 kills.
And do you use it in tandem with other ultimates, so comboing it, or is it just something you're feeling lucky so you just go for it? Kinda.
No, you just go for it whenever they don't have support ults and your team can help you. The only thing that matters is that your team can see you so you can get healed, because you will draw a bunch of attention, because it's really, really important. The enemy team is going to look at you because you have the capability of taking them all out. So just make sure that your team can support you and you'll be fine. A little trick that you can do is if you have a Magneto on your team and it's a Starlord mirror, if there's Starlord ults, your Magneto can ult and then you can ult as well, and then that means that you're completely protected from him and then he will die to you. Or vice versa. If you're ever playing against a Magneto and another Starlord ult, you have to be really, really careful when you ult because that could happen to you.
Now let's talk about Leader Soul, or Starlord's team-up ability. So the passive, Adam Warlock enhances the rebirth power of Starlord and Mantis, granting them the power of Cocooned Revival. So again, it's a passive ability, meaning it activates on its own. It has a 120-second cooldown, and the special mechanic is that during this period, Starlord enters a free fight state, allowing him to revive when needed. And of course, the team-up anchor, or the person you have to have on your team for this to work, is Adam Warlock. The Adam team-up, the Guardian's Revival, is so crucial. Why do you think it's so important in comparison to Loki, Thor, Hela?
It's on demand. The Loki one, or the Hela one, is contingent on her getting a kill, which you can't always guarantee which you need in the right time. Having a res on demand for yourself, and then when you're playing Adam, you also have a res as an ultimate, is just so crazy. There will be so many fights to where I will intentionally run in and die, knowing that I have my passive res or that my Adam has res, because I'll build 40 or 50% ult charge from spinning on people, or I'll trade, I'll run in and go 1-for-1, knowing that it doesn't matter because I'll always get the res off. So it just allows you to make so many mistakes and still win the game. You have to play perfectly against res comp if you are not playing it, because all of your deaths stick and theirs don't.
Following that, I asked him about any of his tips or tricks when it comes to playing Starlord.
Have some type of special controller, but bind your jump to scroll wheel up. You can still have it on spacebar, of course. You can have them both bound, but every single time after you use your jets, you can end them and then spam scroll wheel before you hit the ground and keep your momentum and bunny hop for a little bit and carry some of your speed, which is really good to make it harder for you to hit or be hit.
make sure that you're always canceling your spin with one of your kickflips because it'll auto reload your gun and you'll skip this animation. It's especially important that you do that if you are flying while spinning because you get locked out of doing anything for a while and you like move really slow. It's like this really awkward animation that I'm sure some more experienced Starlords know what I'm talking about. You can avoid that by just kickflipping out of the spin every time. Another tip is I always use both of my kickflips before I spin, unless I am like saving it intentionally for like a big cooldown, or before I ult, because I always want to have my kickflips when I ult. But you want to shoot, kickflip, spin, and then by the time your spin is done, you'll have another kickflip, and that's like your base rotation.
Following that, I wanted to ask about his take or opinion on the triple res comp. If he could change something so it's not super dominant, what would he change?
It's tough because I think if you nerf it too much, it becomes really bad and too niche. Like if right now it's a 2-minute cooldown for Starlord and Mantis, and if it increased to like 3 minutes, it would just be like way worse. Like it wouldn't be impactful enough. Like maybe you can increase it by 20 seconds, maybe. Or you could decrease the amount of time that the soul can just linger there, because the soul, you can, like after you die, you have 12 seconds to decide if you want to self-res or not. So maybe you could cut that in half. Like you just have to be really careful because it is really like any minor change in the wrong direction could just make it horrible.
What are things you look out for when you're playing Starlord, like on the other team? Like even if it is a mirror, like are there like certain
Starlord
mistakes?
Starlord just gets obliterated by long range DPS with high burst. So his problem is like he gets outranged by a lot of heroes, and if he can't win close range, then he's useless. So like Hela, Bucky, Namor, more so Hela and Namor. Bucky's a little bit easier to deal with, but Hela and Namor just are gatekeeping him from being S tier in my opinion. Hela especially, more so than anyone, just beats him at every single range, and the matchup is really unplayable if you're playing against a good Hela. Yeah, if you have Mag on your team and you're in a coordinated environment and you have an Atom as well, yeah, it can mitigate like a lot of the problems, because you can have your Atom like fight the Hela with you, and Atom in that triple support comp, he can save his healing, like his break packs essentially, I like to call him from Overwatch. He can save those for himself, and he can save them to fight the Hela on like the off angle, because his gun, while it's not as strong as hers, it's very similar, and he can contest her and make her life harder, which makes my life easier. And especially if he gets her low, I can come in and just finish her off. So, but for most players, and especially in ranked, I would just swap Starlord if the Hela is really good. If you're gonna force him into Hela and Namor, yeah, you're gonna need help.
But regardless, I hope you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form. And I want to give a huge thank you to Lyte for taking time out of his probably super busy day to come film this video with. All of his socials are in the description and in the comments pinned below. But anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.